I am giving away everything I used to increase my IELTS listening score to 8.5, and I am giving away all of this for free. Once you understand the strategies that top IELTS test takers are using to increase their score, you can see results like this. And you won't be able to find this information anywhere else, because the real ways to increase your IELTS listening score are usually kept behind $1,000 paywall. But my mission is to help you to increase your IELTS score fast for completely free. And I truly believe that everyone should have access to equal education. And that's why I have created this full IELTS listening course, spending hundreds of hours and years of experience to create this course. And if you go through this course, you will have all the information that you need to increase your listening score fast. There are overall 4 modules in this listening course. The first module is the format of the IELTS listening test. You'll learn everything about the format of the test. And the second module is question type based. You will have strategies for each question type, and you will also have practice based on those strategies. And I'm gonna be walking through how I do questions, how I answer questions in IELTS listening for every single question type. And in the third module, we are going to be talking about tips and tricks that actually work in the IELTS listening test. And the last module, which is module number 4, is going to cover the mistakes that a lot of students are making nowadays. Without further ado, let's get started. In the first place, you have to understand the format of the IELTS listening test, and this video covers the whole entire IELTS listening course. So I have to cover everything. Don't think that this is just for beginners. There are advanced tips. So the IELTS listening test has 40 questions, and the duration of the IELTS listening test is going to be 30 minutes. Plus, if you are taking the paper-based IELTS, you will have 10-minute transfer time. And there are 4 sections in the IELTS listening test. Let's go through each section. When explaining 4 sections of the IELTS listening test, I'm going to go through 3 sections of each section. So the first one is the type, the second one is context, and the third one is focus. So part 1 is the first part that you have in the IELTS listening test. What is that type? And the type is conversation between 2 people. And the context is everyday social context. In part 1 of the IELTS listening test, your focus is to listen for specific factual information. So part 2 of the IELTS listening test, what is this type? And this is monologue. And in part 2, there is going to be one person talking. And as in part 1, in part 2, we also have everyday social context, for example. But in part 2, you may have some more complex topics. For example, you might have a guide to the museum, or someone who is going to be telling you about local facilities. When we compare this to part 1, in part 1 we usually have some things that are basic, for example, inquiring about services or booking a hotel room. And even the focus is the same, listening to specific factual information. So let's move on to part 3 of the IELTS listening test. In part 3, you're gonna have a conversation among up to 4 people. It's not gonna be just one person talking there. And the context is gonna be educational or training context. For example, you might have a discussion between students and a tutor talking about an assignment. and the focus is going to be completely different. Your focus in IELTS speaking part 3 has to be to understand opinions, attitudes. So let's move on to part 4 of the IELTS listening test. And in part 4, you're gonna have a monologue, just one person talking. So the context is gonna be an academic lecture. For example, you might have a university professor giving a lecture about a specific subject, and the focus has to be listening for main ideas, specific details. Let's talk about the scoring of the IELTS listening test. In IELTS listening test, there are 40 questions, and each question is worth 1 mark. I'm gonna cover every single question type in this full IELTS listening course. And overall, generally we have 6 question types. We have multiple choice, matching, plan, map, diagram labeling, form, notes, table, flowchart, and summary completion, sentence completion, and short answer questions. And I'm going to go through each question, and we're not just gonna have tips and strategies, we're also gonna have real practice. So the first one on our list is multiple choice. And there are 2 types of multiple choice questions in IELTS listening. The first type, as you can see, is this, where you have 1 question and you have to choose 1 answer from 3 choices. And the second type of multiple choice questions is you have a question and you have to choose more than 1 answer. And you usually have like 5 choices and you have to choose 2 of them. So what's the strategy that you have to use to get all these questions correct in multiple choice? So the strategy that works for me is this. What I do is first read the question and answer choices. And the second step that I take is underlining keywords and circle unchangeable words. Then I watch out for words like but, however, and etc. And then I choose the correct answer. And there is something that a lot of people ignore, and that is unchangeable keywords. These are the keywords that cannot be changed. It can be the names, it can be the titles, it can be the names of the places. Just words that cannot be changed. And you have to circle them because you have to, and it helps you to locate the answer. This strategy works for me. It may not work for many people, but this strategy works for me. So what do they test in multiple choice questions? Mainly, they test 2 things. The first one is detailed understanding of specific points, right? And the second thing that they test in multiple choice questions is an overall understanding of the main points of the listening text. So there is a strategy that I use to prepare for the listening test. For example, after I take a practice test, in questions that I got wrong, or even in questions that I got correct, I use this strategy. First there is a question, and then I'm gonna write out what are the distractions and why other choices are incorrect. Why do I do this? Because it helps me to understand the structure of the IELTS listening test. It helps me to understand how IELTS examiners want to distract students, and how incorrect answer choices are structured in a way that a lot of students might choose them. And this strategy is super great. It's gonna be super helpful to you because you understand how the test works, and in some cases you understand that the choices are relevant and it may be logical, but because the recording didn't mention it, it's not going to be the correct answer. And you will find those sorts of clues a lot when you implement this method. So let's look at a real example. Here we have like 4 questions, 4 multiple choice questions, and as I said, we're gonna like follow this strategy. Yep. So I got a highlighter and a pen. Of a small drawing as well. So Martina is an unchangeable keyword. It's the name, right? So we can circle this. So he or she, I guess it's the female, thinks that the students at her university are, the choices are sociable, intelligent, energetic. You have to understand these words, because if you don't understand them, like, it's a waste of time. George, this is also an unchangeable keyword. He hopes that his tutor will help him lose his shyness. Shyness is a keyword. Settle into university. Get to know his subject better. These are main keywords. What does Martina know about? Her first assignment. That's interesting. So what does she know? Does she know the topic, or length, or the deadline? George would like to live in a hall of residence, flat on his own with a host family. So let's play the recording.
Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
How are the students at your place?
Well, I haven't really met anyone yet. They all seem a bit quiet.
Perhaps they're working hard. They don't appear to be very studious here, but they are very friendly. I must say, I've been doing a lot of sitting around and chatting over the last week or so.
Well, that's good. The only person I've spoken to really is my tutor. He's very approachable and seems to understand how difficult it can be starting university.
It's good to have someone you can talk to, and he may help you meet other students.
Actually, that doesn't bother me. I'm bound to get to know some people sooner or later. It's more a question of finding out what I need to do, where to go, and so on. I hope he can help me with that.
Oh, I would have thought so. Well, we certainly have a lot of work ahead of us. It seems like a long time, doesn't it? Studying for 3 years.
Yes, it does. But I'm sure it'll go quickly. You know, I'm really dreading the first assessment.
Yes. For the course I'm doing, we have to hand our first one in at the end of next month.
Really? So, have you got the topic yet?
No, but we'll get it soon. I'm not sure how much we have to write yet. Not too much, I hope.
I know what you mean. And it's hard to study, especially where I am now.
Oh, where are you living?
I'm living in a hall of residence. I thought that would be a good idea, as there'd be a lot of people around, but I'm finding it a bit noisy. I can see that I'm going to have problems when I really need to get down to some work.
So, I guess you need to be somewhere on your own then.
Yes. Well, I do like to have some people around me, so I'd prefer to live with a family somewhere, in a house not too far from the university.
Well, good luck with that.
Yes, thanks. And good luck to you as well. Oh,
So, the correct answer. So the correct answers are for 27. It's A. Oh, I'm gonna write that with a pen. A, B, C, and C. So, congratulations if you got all these correct. And now let's analyze it. Let's play the recording again to analyze it.
and answer questions 27 to 30.
How are the students at your place?
Well, I haven't really met anyone yet. They all seem a bit quiet.
Perhaps.
So, George is telling that they seem to be quiet. Students at her university seem to be quiet. So, this is what George thinks. But the question is about Martina. So, let's wait for Martina, what she says.
They're working hard. They don't appear to be very studious here.
So, they don't appear to be students,
But they are very friendly.
so they're friendly. This is one characteristic. Well, let me friendly. So let's continue listening.
I must say, I've been doing a lot of sitting around and chatting.
Sitting around and chatting. Interesting.
Over the last week or so.
Well, that's good.
So sitting around and chatting and being friendly means they're sociable, right? So, like, as you can see, even multiple choice questions are based on paraphrases. Like, friendly, sitting around and chatting means that the students are sociable. There is no and other choices are incorrect, and she's clearly telling it, right? So let's continue.
The only person I've spoken to really is my tutor. He's very approachable and seems...
So George's tutor is very approachable, and what you have to find is to how his tutor will help him. Let's listen.
to understand how difficult it can be starting university.
It's good to have someone you can talk to, and he may help you meet other students.
Actually, that doesn't bother me.
So Martina is saying that his tutor can help him to meet other students, but he's saying that it's not like the tutor is not gonna help him with that.
I'm bound to get to know some people sooner or later. It's more a question of finding out what I need to do, where to go, and so on.
What his tutor is gonna help him is where to go and how to go, and those things are settling into university, right? It's, as you can see, it's the complete paraphrase of what he's saying. It's not like losing his shyness, as he contradicted this, and there is nothing about getting to know the subject better.
I hope he can help me with that.
Oh, I would have thought so. Well, we certainly have a lot of work ahead of us. It seems like a long time, doesn't it? Studying for 3 years.
Yes, it does, but I'm sure it'll go quickly. You know, I'm really dreading the first assessment.
Yes.
So they now started talking about the first assessment. assignment is paraphrased as assessment, right? You have to watch out for these.
For the course I'm doing, we have to hand our first one in at the end of next month.
So Martina, is telling the deadline, and she's saying that they have to hand in the assignment with that deadline. So what does she know about her first assignment? She knows the deadline, right? The fact that she has to hand in the assignment at that specific time means she knows the deadline.
Really? So, have you got the topic yet?
No.
So George is asking about the topic, and she said that she doesn't know it, so it's completely contradicting the choice A. And there is nothing about choice B yet.
But we'll get it soon. I'm not sure how much we have to write yet. Not too much, I hope.
I know what you mean.
So she's saying that she hopes that they're not gonna write too much, but she's not sure. She doesn't know.
And it's hard to study, especially where I am now.
Oh, where are you living?
I'm living in a hall of residence.
So he is living in a hall of residence. So we can easily eliminate A because the question is about where he would like to live, not where he lives now.
I thought that would be a good idea, as there'd be a lot of people around, but I'm finding it a bit noisy. I can see that I'm going to have problems when I really need to get down to some work.
So, I guess you need to be somewhere on your own then?
Yes. Well, I do like to have some people around me.
So he would like to have some people around, but he doesn't want to live in a hall of residence.
So I'd prefer to live with a family somewhere, in a house, not too far from the university.
So he's telling that he wants to live with a family. So the correct answer is C. The reason why B is incorrect because he doesn't want to live on his own. He wants some people to have that around. So as you can see, everything is based on synonyms and paraphrasing and understanding what the speaker is saying. So let's move on to the next question type. So let's move on to the next question type, matching. This is what this question type looks like. You're gonna have a set of choices in the box, and you're gonna have questions after that. So what's the strategy that we can use in this matching question type? It's the same as the strategy of multiple choice, the same strategy. And again, you have to watch out for paraphrases, and let's do a practice based on this question type so that you can get a better understanding of how I answer these types of questions. The first, let's go through all these steps for this question. Here, all these are unchangeable keywords. They cannot be changed, so there is no need in circling all these because it's just in the box. But you make sure that you read these so that you're gonna be familiar with these names: aquarium, crocodile, cave, penguin park, seal center, turtle town. So the questions are these. Must not miss. That means you have to be there. You must not miss it. Temporarily close it. Large queues. I hope you know what queue means. And these are attractions and there is a guide, and that person who is guiding is gonna tell which attraction you must not miss, which one is temporarily closed, and which one has very large queues. So now let's listen to the recording and make sure that you answer these questions, and then I'm gonna tell the correct answers, and then we're gonna analyze it, right? I'm playing the recording.
So, before I leave you all to start your tour, I've just got a few tips. There are a large number of attractions, and you may not have time to see them all. Of course, there are the old favourites like the aquarium and the crocodile cave, but if you don't have time to see everything, make sure you visit Turtle Town, which is beyond the aquarium and the seal centre. This is very special and has a large number of endangered species, and as it's at the far corner of the Sea Life Centre, it often gets overlooked. I also have to apologise for the Penguin Park. This has needed some urgent work to be done, and so will not be open for the next week. We're very sorry about this, but I'm sure you'll find the Seal Centre, which is directly opposite it, will keep you entertained just as much, if not more. We're also very busy today, as you may have noticed on your way in. Everyone starts here at the aquarium, but as it's so big, there's no waiting to get in. But today, we're expecting a lot of people to want to see the crocodile cave, as a couple of eggs have hatched out. So expect delays there, and if you like, move on to the Seal Centre first, and then go back when things are quieter towards the end of the day. So, I'll leave you now, but if you have any questions, I won't be far away, and have a great time at the Sea Life Centre. That is the end of section 2. You now have half...
So, you listen to the recording and the answers. I'm gonna reveal the answers. For 18, it's gonna be... I'm gonna write that with E pen. E. And for 19, it's gonna be C. And for 20, it's gonna be B. I hope you found all these correct, but even if you didn't find all these correct, we're gonna analyze it, and that's okay. So, let me play the recording again.
Actions, and you may not have time to see them all. And answer questions 18 to 20. So, before I leave you all to start your tour, I've just got a few tips. There are a large number of attractions, and you may not have time to see them all. Of course, there are the old favourites like the aquarium and the crocodile cave.
The speaker is saying that there are some old attractions that were really good, the aquarium and the other one.
But if you don't have time to see everything,
so if you don't have time, if you don't want to waste your time, and if you have to choose one aquarium, then
make sure you visit Turtle Town.
Turtle Town is the place you want to go, right? So Turtle Town, E. So as you can see, the answer is E. This is just so simple, right? You must not miss means the only attraction, right? So the other thing is to eliminate these because it just gives you more flexibility. Let's continue.
Which is beyond the aquarium and the seal centre. This is very special and has a large number of endangered species.
And it's telling that what was it saying? Turtle Town is a special place, is a special attraction.
and as it's at the far corner of the Sea Life Centre, it often gets overlooked. I also have to apologise.
And I realized that the correct answer is coming by just hearing that the speaker is apologizing. Why the speaker might apologize? Because if something might be closed, the speaker is gonna apologize, right? So that was a sign for me that the answer is coming.
For the Penguin Park.
Penguin Park, as you can see, is the place.
This has needed some urgent work to be done, and so will not be open for the next week.
Will not be opened means close it. For the next week means temporarily. As you can see, everything is paraphrased. So the answer for 19 is C. And you can easily eliminate C here.
We're very sorry about this, but I'm sure you'll find the Seal Centre, which is directly opposite it, will keep you entertained just as much, if not more. We're also very busy today, as you may have noticed on your way in. Everyone starts here at the aquarium, but as it's so big, there's no waiting to get in. But today, we're expecting a lot of people to want to see the crocodile.
So they're expecting a lot of people to come to Crocodile Cave. So that means there are large queues.
Cave, as a couple of eggs have hatched out. So expect delays there and...
So we have to expect delays. So that means there are large queues there, right? So the answer for 20 is B. You can look at this. So as you can see, most of the questions are based on paraphrases and you can find correct answers easily. The most important thing is to understand how the IELTS listening test is distracting you in some cases and how paraphrasing works. So the next question type that we have is plan map diagram labeling. In this question type, if you don't know the vocabulary related to this, you're gonna have a hard time finding the correct answer. Most students I see either don't have enough vocabulary or they struggle with understanding the map. If you're are having a hard time finding correct answers in plan, map, and diagram labeling, then you might have one of these issues and you have to address it. So the first problem, as I said, is vocabulary. This is all the vocabulary you need for this question type, and you have to know all of these. You might not know some of them, 3 or 4 of them, but still learn them. It's just so important. If you don't know these, you're gonna have a hard time finding a correct answer. So just take your time and do it. It's gonna pay off one day. And these are all the vocabulary you need in this question type. Just go through them. Just go through them, man. If you don't know any of these, just learn. These are all the vocab. And as I said, the second issue is not being able to navigate through the map or not understand the map. And it can be solved by practicing more map question types, and it's a simple skill that can be learned. And now let's move on to the strategy I use to get these questions correct. And this strategy have worked for me, and I can't guarantee that it's gonna work for you, but this strategy is gonna be helpful. So the first thing I do is to understand the map. This is just the foundation. Like, if you don't understand the map, don't expect to get those questions correct. Then follow the directions you're hearing. Then mark the way directly. Like, especially for beginners, it's just the easiest way to not to lose your way through. And then choose the correct answer, right? So let's continue. And the next one is form, node, table, flowchart, and summary completion. Why did I combine all these? Because they all share the same strategy and you need same skill sets to answer these questions. By far, this is one of the easiest question types in IELTS listening. If you don't get these correct, like, it's just so bad. And you are gonna usually have that in part 1 and 4, and in part 1 it's gonna be so easy. You gotta get at least 8 of 10 in part 1, or like it's just so easy to get even 10 out of 10 in part 1, because you usually are gonna have this question type. I mean, this is an example. And in part 4, you're gonna have a more complex, because it's gonna be about an academic subject, and you might have a university lecture by a university professor, so it can be a little hard. You might have a little too complex in part 4, but in part 1 you gotta like do your best. And the strategy I use in this question type is reading the questions and answer choices. Oh, no answer choices. No answer choice. Sorry about that. Underline keywords and circle unchangeable words, and then choose the correct answer. So numbers and spelling are so important. I mean, before, like, if you're struggling with either of these, then go and you can find a lot of exercises. I'm not gonna give you those exercises because there are a bunch of them on the internet. I mean, you live in the modern world where you have access to all these, and the only thing that you gotta do is to just use them effectively. Just don't waste your time like scrolling through TikTok. And let's go through these questions, okay? The most important thing in this question type is to make sure that you're paying attention to this. No more than 2 words and or number. I recommend you to even write that like as a big, because it helps you to remember it. And in many of the cases, it's just a silly mistake that many students make. They might write 3 words, and that's the biggest mistake. You just don't have to waste like your whole mark on it. Let's use this strategy to answer these questions. We are gonna do this. So it's a competition. It's a short story competition. Length of story, approximately. What I'm expecting, like predicting, is also really important in this question type. Approximately, I'm like thinking about the number of words. Example, 1,000 or 700 or even 800 words. I'm expecting a number and then words. Story must include something. We need a singular noun. There might be an adjective before that, maybe. Minimum age. We're clearly expecting a number, right? 5 years old or 7 years old or 3. Last entry date. So it's a date. As I said, you gotta be really familiar with dates, numbers, and names and all that stuff. Your spelling has to be great. So I'm expecting like a month and then a year, maybe a month. Yeah. Web address, you have to be really good at spelling here. And here I'm expecting a web address. Yep. And then we have don't do something, right? We need a verb, I guess. The story to the organizers. Maybe it's gonna be share or send. I don't know, but still, I have an idea of what it's gonna look like, right? It might be a web, right? So predicting is key in this question type. So now let's listen to the recording.
Recording 43. King?
Oh, hi. I'm phoning about a short story competition. I saw an advert in a magazine, and I was just calling to get some details.
Yes, certainly. I'm the competition organizer, so I should be able to help. What kind of details are you looking for?
Well, does it cost anything to enter?
Yes, there's an entry fee of £5.
Okay, that should be fine. It's a short story competition, so how many words is that?
Well, we want to give people a reasonable amount of freedom, but the guidelines are around 3,000 words.
Oh, that sounds quite a lot.
Well, it's not as much as it used to be. We did have a limit of 5,000 words, but some people thought that was too many. So this year we've reduced it.
Right. And does the story need to be about anything in particular?
No, you can write about any topic you like. But the main point of the competition is that it has to have a surprise ending.
Oh, I see. That sounds interesting. I don't think I've ever written a story like that before.
Yes, it's something we've introduced for this year's competition.
Right. I'm 18. Is there any age limit?
Yes, you need to be 16 or over. So if you're 18, that's fine.
Great. So you have the competition once a year, is that right?
Yes, we start advertising in January, and the competition takes up a lot of the year. We give people a few months to write their story, and then it takes quite a long time to judge all the entries and to announce the winners.
I see. So when is the closing date for the competition? It's already April. I hope I'm not too late.
No, you've still got plenty of time. You need to submit your entry by the 1st of August. After then it will be too late. Although you can always enter next year's competition.
Okay, good. So how do I enter?
Well, we have a website, and the best way to enter is to complete the entry form online. We also have more details of the competition on the site. Shall I give you the web address?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's www.comp4ss.com, and that's the number 4, not the word 4.
Okay, thanks. I've got that. So I can complete the entry form online, but how do I send the story? Do I print it out and send it to you?
Well, you may want to print the story out so you can review it, but don't post it to us. When you've finished your story, you will need to email it to us. The email address is on the website I gave you.
Okay, that's fine.
So the answers for these questions are, for the first one, it's gonna be 3,000 words. Congratulations if you got it correct, man. Congratulations. The second one, surprise ending. For the third one, 16. For the fourth question, it's gonna be August. For the fifth question, it's gonna be yep. And for the sixth question, it's gonna be post. So now let's analyze all this. Find the recording.
King?
Oh, hi. I'm phoning about a short story competition. I saw an advert in a magazine, and I was just calling to get some details.
Yes, certainly. I'm the competition organizer, so I should be able to help. What kind of details are you looking for?
Well, does it cost anything to enter?
Yes, there's an entry fee of £5.
Okay, that should be fine. It's a short story competition, so how many words is that?
Well, we want to give people a reasonable amount of freedom, but the guidelines are around 3,000 words.
So the guidelines are around 3,000 words. Around is the same as approximately, so it's a synonym, right? So approximately 3,000 words. It's just so easy, right? It's not really distracting us.
Oh, that sounds quite a lot.
Well, it's not as much as it used to be. We did have a limit of 5,000 words.
So now we have a distraction. Like they used to have a limit of 5,000 words, I guess. And some people might choose 5,000, but if you have a good listening comprehension, even a basic listening comprehension skills, you can easily get this question correct.
But some people thought that was too many. So this year we've reduced it.
Right. And does the story need to be about anything in particular?
No, you can write about any topic you like. But the main point of the competition is that it has to have a surprise ending.
It has to have a surprise ending, right? It has to have means must include, right? It's just the same paraphrase. It has to have a surprise ending. It must include surprise ending. It's just the same, right? You just have to understand the paraphrasing. Now we want the minimum age.
Oh, I see. That sounds interesting. I don't think I've ever written a story like that before.
Yes, it's something we've introduced for this year's competition.
Right. I'm 18. Is there any age limit?
Yes, you need to be 16 or over.
So there is an age limit and you need to be 16 or over. So the minimum age is 16. You can either write 16 like this as a number, or you can also write as 16. Just doesn't matter.
If you're 18, that's fine.
Great. So you have the competition once a year, is that right?
Yes, we start advertising in January, and the competition takes up a lot of the year. We give people a few months to write their story, and then it takes quite a long time to judge all the entries and to announce the winners.
I see. So when is the closing date for the competition? It's already April. I hope I'm not too late.
No, you've still got plenty of time. You need to submit your entry by the 1st of August.
You need to submit the application means like the last entry date. By means the last entry date, right? The 1st of August.
After then, it will be too late.
After that, it will be too late, so you can't apply after that. So the last entry date is the 1st August.
Although you can always enter next year's competition.
Okay, good. So how do I enter?
Well, we have a website, and the best way to enter is to complete the entry form online. We also have more details of the competition on the site. Shall I give you the web address?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's www.comp4ss.com. And that.
So you just have to have a great spelling here, and it's just so simple. You just have to be able to write that correctly. That's it. So let's move on to the next question type, sentence completion. Even in this question type, it's also really simple, and as you can see, this is what it looks like. So the strategy we use, oh sorry for the mistake again. Read the questions, underline and circle unchangeable words, and then predict the answer. Is it a verb or a noun or an adjective? Just predicting is gonna really help you, because you just know what to look for. And when you know what to look for, it's gonna be so easy to find the correct answer. This is what it looks like, and we can move on to the next one. And there is a rare question type, which is short answer questions. These are also correct, and you can actually make sentence completion questions short answer questions by turning this sentence into a question. For example, the competition is judged by someone, right? Who is the competition judged by? So that could be a short answer question, and it's just so rare, and the strategy is just the same with this one. You have done thousands of practice exams, but your listening score is not improving. If you want a step-by-step guide on improving your listening score fast and easily, then you're in the right place. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Azamat, your guide on this journey. So in this video, I will be giving you 6 unique steps that can quickly improve your listening score, which many students have been ignoring for a very long time. So step number 1 is following the instructions very carefully, especially in parts 1 and 4, where you will be given fill in the gaps questions. It's so important that you pay attention to how many words you can choose. And our second step is familiarizing yourself with a range of accents. You're not gonna be hearing just American or British accent in your IELTS exam. You will also be hearing Canadian or Australian or any other accent of an English-speaking country. So my advice is not just to listen to BBC, but also listen to some radios or some sort of TV shows of different English-speaking countries. A quick search on Google is the right solution. Have you found yourself doing mistakes in your IELTS listening exam because of losing your attention? I've got an ideal solution for this. For example, what you can do is setting small tasks when you're listening to something. So by doing this, you can improve your attention very fast. And our next step is working on your weaknesses. Identify question types where you are doing mistakes on. Or if you're doing a mistake in your IELTS practice exam, then question yourself why you're doing that question wrong and what can you do to do it correctly. Have you found yourself doing mistakes on your IELTS exam because of your spelling? I've got a suggestion for you. What you can do is searching 100 words that are misspelled and memorize those words. So if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, like the video and comment below, because it indicates that the content that I'm creating is actually useful, and it also motivates me to make more videos. Last but not least, don't leave any blank answers, because you will not lose any marks for incorrect answer choices. And even if you don't know the answer, write something in the answers box, because you might be lucky. If you want to know how you can easily get a band 9 in your IELTS reading exam, you can check out this video where I explain it, how step-by-step strategy for getting a band 9 in IELTS reading. Or you can check out this video where I explain it, how you can get a band 8 in your IELTS exam. I got 8.5 in IELTS listening, and in this video I'm gonna share you the exact step-by-step guide that top 1% of IELTS test takers use in their preparation journey. And I'm also gonna tell you mistakes that many test takers are making time and time again. I will also be telling you what skills you actually need to get 8.5 or above. By the way, I'm also gonna give you my genuine advice that helped me to get 8.5 in IELTS listening. My name is Azamat, and this channel is all about IELTS and English language learning. If you like the sound of that, please subscribe. So let's get into it. Firstly, let's talk about step-by-step guide on how I got 8.5 in IELTS listening. So, the first step that really helped me to get 8.5 in IELTS listening section is doing what I really enjoy. For example, I used to watch a lot of films, and that helped me to boost my listening skills. Listening to something that you really enjoy helps you to improve your listening skills, which are so important in the listening sections of the IELTS test. Instead of doing something that you don't enjoy, you should definitely watch films or do whatever you enjoy which is related to listening. And this step is so important in every single person's preparation journey because it's the fundamental thing that every single person has to do. Let's say you really enjoy watching YouTube videos, and it's a great way for you to boost your listening skills. And the next step is taking an IELTS listening practice test. It's so important that you resemble every single part of your mock exams as the real IELTS listening exam. And after taking that practice test, step number 3 comes in, which is being honest and reviewing every single mistake that you did. You might be thinking, oh, I should analyze the mistakes that I made in my mock exam. But no, you should definitely analyze all the questions in the test. Definitely use audio scripts, which is usually at the end of the Cambridge IELTS books, and this helps you to analyze where you made a mistake. And for example, let's say you are being distracted by the test. And what you can do is to analyze those distractions, prevent yourself from making those same mistakes over and over again. And let's say you're having problems with summary completion questions in IELTS listening, or you're having problems with multiple choice. And you can turn those weaknesses into strengths. Now, let's talk about the mistakes that a lot of IELTS test takers are making in their listening test. And those mistakes are actually preventing you from getting 8 or above in your listening score. And the first one is ignoring different types of accents. This is so important, and I can't agree more on this, because in my test, I had speakers who spoke in American and British accents, and listening to both of these accents helped me to understand the conversation better in the IELTS listening test. You might have a Canadian or Australian or even American or British accent in your IELTS listening exam. So the second mistake that a lot of people are making is having some spelling issues. To prevent that, you can use any vocabulary book or anything like that to learn some spelling common errors so that you will be aware of them. And the third mistake that many people are making these days in IELTS listening is not reading the instructions carefully. For example, in part 1, you may need to write no more than one word and or a number. But if you have written 2 words, it is gonna be counted as a mistake because you shouldn't write 2 words in the place where you need to write no more than 1 word. So definitely make sure that you read the instructions very careful. It's so important that it can change a lot. Now you've understood the step-by-step guide that I implemented in my preparation journey to get 8.5 in IELTS listening, and you also have learned a lot about the mistakes that are ruining your score. Now let's talk about the skills that are actually tested in IELTS listening test. The first one is vocabulary. Without vocabulary, you can't get a high score because if you don't know a word, it's impossible for you to get a correct answer. So that's why I recommend you to learn vocab efficiently and try to turn them into active vocabulary. And in the future, I will also make a video about that, how you can learn vocabulary. The second skill that is tested in IELTS listening test is your listening skills, which are so important because if you can't understand, if you can't comprehend the monologue or a conversation, it's impossible for you to get a correct answer. So that's why you really need to boost your listening skills. You might be thinking, how? As I told you before, do what you really enjoy to improve your listening skills. Your IELTS preparation journey has to be fun, it has to be interesting. It doesn't have to be boring because you need to enjoy what you're doing so that you will have a very good productivity. It doesn't matter whether you listen to podcasts or watch films or watch YouTube videos, but make sure that you are doing active listening where you're actively listening to that video or film or a podcast, not something that is passive. The third skill, in my opinion, that is required to get a high score is predicting the answer. For example, in fill in the gaps questions, for example, you might think, well, what is the answer? Is it a noun, or is it a verb, or is it an adjective, or what is this word related to? So that you can predict the answer. It really helps you to get a high score. And in my case, it really helped me to get 8.5 in IELTS listening. The next skill that is so important in IELTS listening is attention. If you can't focus, you will not be able to get a high score. And you might be thinking, how can I improve my focus? And the simple answer to this is listen to something for a long time actively, not passively. For example, most of the time podcasts are between 1 and 2 hours, but if you don't enjoy doing it, you will passively listen to it and it's not gonna help you to improve your focus. But if you're gonna do something that you enjoy for a long time, for over 30 minutes, then you can improve your focus by actively listening to that thing. And now let's talk about my genuine advice that's helped me to get 8.5 in IELTS listening. The first thing is listening to something in 2x speed because it helps you to understand some fast conversations. For example, when I was watching YouTube videos, which I really enjoyed doing, I listened to them at double the speed of that video because it helped me to understand it at a faster rate. And in the IELTS test, in the listening section, I was not really overwhelmed by the speed of it. I felt that the IELTS listening test was so slow because I got used to listening to those videos at 2x speed. And the second advice that I'm gonna give you for those who are starting their IELTS preparation journey and wanna get a high score in listening is exposing themselves to different accents. For example, don't just listen to a person who speaks in an American accent, but also watch some videos of people who speak in a British or Canadian or even Australian accents, because it helps you to understand all of those accents. And in your IELTS listening test, if you will be exposed to those different accents, you will not have any issues at that time. The third advice that I would give for those who are starting out their IELTS preparation journey is thinking that practice doesn't make perfect. You can do thousands of practice exams, but your score might not even increase. It might also decrease as well because you will develop some bad habits that you will repeat over time. So in my opinion, practice doesn't make perfect. Instead, analyze the mistake that you're doing and identify your weaknesses and turn them into your strengths so that you can get a high score in IELTS listening. I wish I knew this. The last thing that many people ignore is staying positive. In your exam, even if you miss one answer, don't worry, stay positive, because even with one mistake, you can get a band 9 in IELTS listening test. If you want some reading tips, then watch the video that you can see somewhere on the screen.